So the defense, all the rankings I saw with the defensive coordinator being shown the door, bottom 5 to 10 in the country in all the major defensive rankings, points against, rushing, passing, total defense, which is alarming regardless. But when you add to it, they've played North Dakota, Northwestern, and Georgia Southern, and you still can't stop anyone. That has been kind of tough to take, I would think. O'Shawn Mathis was supposed to be a huge addition. Garrett Nelson was supposed to even build upon what we've already seen out of him and really be a superstar. And they still can't rush the passer, for one thing. And then you mentioned the tackling as well.
I just pulled up the numbers right here, and I looked at that last night after they fired him. I was like, okay, what was the justification here? The last 2 games, they gave up almost 100 points. OU makes sense. Dylan Gabriel wasn't as good as I thought he'd be. He had some serious accuracy issues downfield. But they do have obviously a strong offensive line and really good skill players in their running backs, receivers, their tight ends good. But here is where they ranked right now. And this is what's alarming coming off of a season where they had such a strong D. 124th nationally in rush defense and 115th against the pass. They have one of the weakest defenses in the entire country. I think the teams that were behind them, there were only 3 of them. It was Charlotte and 2 other FBS non-Power 5 schools who obviously aren't doing very well. So you think you get another guy who can rush the passer like a Garrett Nelson, and there's going to be, I wouldn't call it an immediate impact, but at least some sustained effort from that defensive line, even though there are so many new guys in the interior, because you've got that guy on the outside who's already proven so much. And he did it in the Big 12, which people like to argue that the Big 12 is not as strong as the Big 10. But Nebraska hasn't played any competition that's even comparable to what he played at the top in the Big 12. So, yeah, I don't really think there's any answers that we can look forward to in this next week or even 2 weeks, because that next game's coming up after the bye week in 2 weeks. But like I said, maybe there's something they can do with the technique, and maybe there's something that Bill Busch knows about this D and some of their strengths that he can play to, because at this point, we need any sort of hope that we can get going forward. And I think the only hope there is that Bill Busch has a lot of experience from different sides of football, right? But specifically as a DC, he was a defensive coordinator 3 different years. So hopefully he brings something to this group and gives them a reason to get excited again. Because if they continue to go out on that field and they can continue to miss the gaps and not play that well, like we've seen these first couple games, I think the team is going to fall off here in the next 4 or 5 games. They're just going to give up on themselves and quit. So Bill Busch has a strong task at hand.